Well, Amy, how the devil are you?
I am fantastic. Been a long week already. I thought it was Thursday, but how are
It's
you?
I'm all right. I think this is gonna people gonna be surprised actually you're on the podcast. They know you from TikTok.
I know, and usually I never show my face.
Just annoying people on TikTok, Amy. Annoying them all, like I am as well, every week.
Playing devil's advocate all the time.
Welcome to the world of social media though. For not
Thank you.
everybody, of course. But it's a surprise, isn't it? The way people can jump on you.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
It's still, I mean, some people, it's amazing the way people can take things so seriously. Or what I find as well is, and again, by the way, not everybody that's listening, that you can see a lot of people, if they're just in a bad mood, if they're, they've had a fight with their missus, they've had a fight with their husband, whatever it is. And if they don't like the look of you for 1 minute, they will actually make something up and want you gone.
Yeah, but people are always going to do that. Like everyone's guilty of doing that.
Well, not everybody now, to be honest. Not everybody. In fairness, now there's a good community on my TikTok live. I'll give it that. But geez, and some you get. But that was, you know what? I've been doing social media for about 4 years. That to me was the biggest one for me. That I was like, I can't believe people are actually making something up just to get me off here. I that blew my mind in the first 3 or 4 months, and then I got used to it. I was like, oh, whatever. But it was just wow, you know.
Yeah, but that's a particular type of person. They fall into a particular category of people. Like you're not going to have a doctor, a data scientist, certain people behaving certain ways, but some people then behave certain ways.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And sure, I mean, look, then again, even that it's the same in real life anyway. Like I find that, and we're going to talk about dating now as well. And everybody, we also got Amy on. We're going to talk about a man's point of view and a woman's point of view on certain things here. But like, I find that when it comes to women out in bars, you know what? Actually, pre-coronavirus, because people aren't hooking up at the moment. So when life was normal, I found that a lot of the time men can be cock blockers. They can try and block you, getting with another woman. That can happen. But I find women would be more guilty of that. What do you think?
Women are devious. They're so devious. So, like, if you've a group of girls out and we'll say, let's call her Sarah. Sarah is kind of like the ringleader, right? And if I liked a guy and Sarah also liked the guy, Sarah would be like, and this is just kind of like a hypothetical example of the way girls behave. Sarah would be like, oh no, I don't like such and such about him, or I heard something about him, because she knows the rest of the group would follow suit. And then that would be a way of deterring me from, like, going near. And then lo and behold, by the end of the night, Sarah'd be falling all over that particular guy. That's like something girls are notorious for doing in their groups.
And do you think it's a power play, or do you think they're actually trying to get rid of the other girls on purpose? Like, which one goes before the other one?
More of an ego boost massively. It's like asserting their dominance in the group, that they can be the ones to get what they want.
Really? So it mightn't necessarily that they're attracted to the guy at all. Like he might be okay in their eyes, but yet it's the fact that, you know what, now the girls, now they'll follow me on and they'll just worship me. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, yeah, they'll always, like, but this again, like, this is a much kind of younger profile. Um, you know, like early 20s, teens, mid 20s, kind of. But when you get into adult, it becomes even more malicious. Like a lot of people, not a lot. Sorry, they're like the type of girls that behave that way in their early 20s get into their early 30s, and they're the ones that do pursue married men. There's something about them getting a guy that, is with somebody else. It's almost like they feel like it's a trophy.
Okay, actually, I had actually a sequence of questions here to start this off, but we're jumping right in into the mud here. Okay,
Yeah,
let's go with this married thing because we did talk about this in my TikTok live. Was it last week? And whenever it was,
yeah.
but you were saying that there's a lot of married men out there right now. As far as correct me if I'm wrong here now. There's a lot of married men. The wife knows that they're on dating apps, quite a few of them,
Yeah.
and they have some sort of pre-arrangements that maybe she's off dating some guys, he's off dating some girls. Like, fill us in.
Yeah, so you come across them on dating sites. So there's a couple of different things. Like there's guys hiding behind fake profiles. There's guys hiding behind blank profiles. And then like you come across couples on Tinder that they're looking for somebody to join. You have men that are, saying that they're in an open relationship, that their wives are able to do what they want and they're able to do what they want. But there is a lot, like you'll come across so many pages where like the guy will have like a photo of his stomach or his abs showing, and he might have like a photo just showing like the leg of his pants and then like a photo of scenery. So he'll say like, oh, don't have any photos up. I'm married and looking for no strings attached fun. You'll see that come up on the little tagline at the bottom, like without clicking into the profile. And there's a ridiculous amount of them on Tinder. It's frightening, like how many profiles you come across that fall into that category.
Sorry to interrupt you for 1 second. Are you saying that before you've matched with them, on their profile they have it written that what?
That they're married and they're looking for no strings attached fun.
They actually say this on their profile.
Yeah, but see, they've no
And,
photograph of their face, so like they can't be identified. So like straight off the bat, they're looking for somebody that's also looking for no strings attached fun.
and out of 100 guys that you could swipe left or right on, let's say you go through 100 of them, right? Just 100 guys right now. If you open up Tinder, how many of them are we talking?
You'll be guaranteed to see at least 2 to 3 out of the 100.
Okay, it's not many. So, all right, it's not many.
That's still a fair statistic. Like if you work it out, if there's 3%, 3% of a million.
Well, when you say it like that, Jesus. Yeah, I know.
30,000 married men out for every million. Not just
Yeah,
not just married, like people that are in relationships that are engaged. Um, like a lot of it's down to like people can't afford to leave marriages.
uh-huh. Yeah.
So like I know people personally that are very unhappy in their relationships and they can't leave. They'd have to. There's children involved. There's mortgages involved. They're not going to be able to afford to, rent somewhere on top of paying potentially spousal support and still contributing to the mortgage and paying maintenance for the children.
And do you think a lot of these people got married too young?
I think a lot of these people got married because it was the next step in the relationship.
The
Um,
next step. Yeah.
Nothing to do with being young. Like people just get into a relationship and they go with the flow. So like, they may not necessarily be happy, but people get to a certain age and they're like, oh, okay, if I don't settle down now, I won't be able to have kids, or get married at a young age, and there's a lot to factor into it. So like a lot of people settle for the wrong reasons, and then years later they wind up very unhappy, and then they wind up in a stuck situation.
Haven't we kind of grown out of this pressure at this stage? I know there's been a lot of pressure for women for generations about settling down and this and that, but I thought those days were coming to an end.
They would have been, but then when you factor in the increased cost of living now, the majority of people can't afford to buy a house on their own. You look at the average mortgage, like as an example, to buy an apartment with TSB, I don't know about the rest of them, but to buy an apartment with TSB, if your apartment is not in a city centre, and there's a couple of places that they class as city centres, like Kilkenny town, falls into the city category, but you need is it 30% deposit to buy a place rather than the standard 10%. So you can buy a house, as an example, in Dungarvan. You can buy a house in Dungarvan, and all you need is 10% for the bank to give you your mortgage. But you need, I think it's 30% or 35% for an apartment in Dungarvan, the deposit, before they'll
Actually,
give it to you. So like a single
sorry,
person, yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. I think it's 20%, isn't it? 20% for
No, it's 20% for a second purchase. Give me 1 second now and I'll tell you, because I was only talking to somebody about this the other day.
okay.
Multiplied by 30%. 25%.
God alive.
Yeah.
God alive.
So like if you look at an apartment that's 200,000, like firstly you'd have to be on a significant wage to qualify for, well, not significant, you'd need no loans, no bills, no outgoing, no kids, and a minimum of 50,000 euro income to get 4 times your earnings. So that'll bring you up to 200,000. And then if you're required to have 25%, you'd need a 50,000 euro deposit. So like, where is somebody in their mid-20s going to come up with 50 grand unless they're, in a job that's paying 100 grand, 150 grand? For the average person, it's not feasible. They need somebody to do it on their own, or they need to buy somewhere, that's an investment property, that is a bit of a fixer-upper, that's very rural. There's a lot to factor in if you want certain things in life and you are the average person, because we're talking about the average person. They do need to partner up, and they realize that, because even while you might be able to afford, the mortgage payments on your own, you factor in the rest of the bills, then you factor in having a child, raising them, etc. Like, children aren't cheap by any means. So if you're somebody
No.
that has a mortgage, you're going to be somebody that will need to continue working, because social welfare isn't going to cover a 200 grand mortgage. Like 200 grand, you're probably paying about 1,200-1,400 euro per month on your own. So you're not going to cover that on social welfare payments, and they don't contribute to a mortgage. They'll give you rent allowance, but they won't give you, if you have a mortgage, you're screwed. You have to do it. So if you're then working as a single parent, you then have to start paying for childcare. Childcare, again, because they'd be in a particular bracket, they wouldn't be entitled to any of the government supports. So you would be, if you're over 50 grand, I think it's over 50 grand, you fall outside of the National Childcare Scheme. That's open to correction. I think it's like 50,000-60,000. But you're going to be paying private childcare, which you could be costing you another 800 euro per month. 200 euro per week isn't a big ask for a child that's in full-time childcare from 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30 till 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. So you now factor that in. For that person just to have a house and go to work is costing them about 2 grand a month. That's before you factor in the cost of food shopping, the cost of heating, the cost of broadband, the cost of TV, the cost of healthcare because they'd need to have healthcare because they wouldn't have any medical cards. So people
That's
can't afford to live single if they want to go down the route of house, family. You have, again, there's always the exception to the rule. I mean, some people are quite happy to move into a run-down-ish house, that's in the middle of nowhere that they can, slowly put money into and have an affordable property. But there's a big divide there in terms like you either have to be on the lower income and be eligible for all the government supports to actually help you survive, or you have to, if you're the middle person, the only way that the majority of people can do that nowadays is by having someone. So again, you get
good.
people that, have gone into a financial commitment before the increased cost of living, that now are married with children, that have houses, but they're now in a position where both of them are unhappy. Like, it might not just be the man, it could be the man and the woman are both happy and they're just coexisting in the same house, but they're stuck, they're trapped.
God, man. It's funny. I know this Brazilian girl. She, my local sort of news agents where I, get some groceries and stuff. I go down to her and Brazilian girl, lovely girl, isn't it? And she must be she's probably about 40. Lovely girl. She's been here for a few years. She's married and she's living in a house. She's got her own bedroom with her husband. Husband now, well, I'll say this, right? They traveled together to Ireland. And she's living with two other couples. So there's three couples in the same house because none of them can afford to do anything. And she's telling me about the hassle that the other couple are screaming, like tearing doors down in the house, and they can't get rest. I mean, I just can't imagine what that's like to be a husband and a wife together. Imagine that. What does your
Mm-hmm.
life come to when you're realizing you have to live with a bunch of psychos and because you just can't afford it? Is it
Yeah,
worth
but
doing?
then,
Like,
like,
is it
on
worth
the
for a
other side
Brazilian
of it,
person coming?
the reason that those two are probably at each other's throats is because they don't have any space. They're in each other's pockets. They have their bedroom, they have a communal sitting room, and they have a communal kitchen.
Yeah,
It's like staying in the equivalent of a hostel.
yeah, it is. It is. Jesus. And yeah, I was even talking to guys there who own a few companies, and they're saying the way things are going these days is they're trying to do a lot more remote work with employees. They don't want to have anybody on their payrolls because it's easier now these days in case people have like employees have rights these days, which is obviously understandable, but the fact that
Mm-hmm.
all the hassle having them on the payroll, sick pay, this and that, and he said a lot of businesses are going in that direction where they just want to hire freelancers now these days, third party companies, this or that, off the payroll, and that's the way things are going.
I haven't seen any of that. Like, I do know, like, in the building sector and stuff, there's a lot more people hiring in subcontractors as opposed to direct employees because of the PRSI that they do have to pay. So yeah, I suppose there is some sectors where it's really applicable.
I don't
So
know.
you, like, the government's forcing the increased cost of living. Like, I'm on the other side of the fence where I see how little of a margin that these companies, like the likes of the small little coffee shop, the margins that they're making after they have everything paid out for all year. Like, some companies are running with 2,000 euro profit for the year, which is, unbelievable. If they have a fridge or anything that goes, like, their whole margin, their whole profit margin for the year is gone.
Mm, yeah, it is. It is. Oh man, coronavirus really screwed us. Really did screw us. I
It
was saying
helped
when we
me.
It helped you in what way? With job, is
Because
it? Or
yeah, well, I was doing a 3 hour daily commute before COVID, and
three
I was
three
paying.
hours?
Yeah, I was driving 90 minutes to get to work, and I was driving 90 minutes to get home.
Where were you working?
Cork City. So
But
I was
hang on,
having to go.
I thought you were just outside Cork City, no? Where
I'm 45 minutes from Cork, but my son was going to childcare in Middleton, so had to commute from where I am. I'm just over the border in Waterford. I had to commute from where I am to Middleton, drop him off. But you're forgetting there's all rush hour traffic in the morning, so I'd be getting caught
um
in traffic. Same then coming home. Like I'd be getting home at 7 o'clock with a 1 year old child, a 2 year old child. I'm getting home at 7. Dinner isn't ready till nearly 8. You know, by the time I get him showered and everything, it used to be 9, half 9 before I had a 2 year old going to bed. Then obviously I'm burnt out. It means I had no personal time, to try sit down, relax and unwind. I was just completely exhausted, burnt out. So I was going to bed. Then we would be back up at 6:30 in the morning. So it was just constant go, go, go with no relief. COVID came along and everyone decided to start working remotely. I ended up having to go back to the office eventually, but in my industry, there's so many places that allow for complete remote working. And then I ended up being allowed to work completely remotely. So it means I then got to send my son to the local school, which is a 7-minute commute away from me. I don't have to, spend hours sitting in traffic. I'm not wasting money on commuting. I'm not wasting money on, the extra wear and tear of the car. I'm no longer, pottering across to Pennies on my lunch break to have a look and then wind up spending 50 quid before I come out the door. So there's such a savings to be made. And even like the quality of life from working remotely for me is worth its weight in gold. Like I constantly get recruiters contact me. I had a recruiter contact me um last week for a job where the salary was going to be €18,000 more than what I'm on. And they'd require me to go to the office 2 days per week, possibly 3. And I said, not a hope in hell. After I worked out the difference in take
you
home
were
pay, because you fall into the higher tax bracket, the majority of that, so the 18,000, there's immediately 40% of that gone on just tax. Then you have your PRSI, you have your USC on top of it. Then I have the fact that I'm now having to pay for my private childcare 2 to 3 days a week. Having to now get up earlier, go back commuting, additional wear and tear, costing me about €80 per week on diesel to get up and back. So when I added all of that up, out of that 18 grand, it was now going to be costing me extra money to go working for a company that was paying that much more.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that's the thing. I have my own business, and you have to factor in costs. Yeah, sounds great getting this, but hello, like if you
Yeah,
start bringing in 10 employees into an office, and you're expanding the office, and of course then you got to pay for the extra bills, then you got to do extra babysitting, and then you might have got extra costs on top of that because this guy wants petrol costs and this and that, and people just blink. I think a lot of people get the blinkers on. Yeah, you're dead right. You were very smart in that one. But there you go,
yeah,
18 grand, and you're coming out with more now.
yeah.
Jesus, Jesus. I mean, it's
So
there.
like
You go.
you'd have to look at it. I'd be dropping my son off to somebody for me to get to an office for 9. I'd have to be leaving at about 7:30. So again, I'd need to be up about 6 o'clock in the morning. I would need to be getting my son up by like 6:15. I'd need to be dropping him off to somebody for 7:30. So that's if I even found somebody that is local, because they'd also then need to be doing school runs with him. So I'd be looking at probably about €60 a day for private childcare, considering they'd have to give him dinner, they would have to drop him to school, pick him up from school, and they would have him till about 6:30 in the evening. So I'm then picking him up from somewhere at 6:30 in the evening. I'm probably not going to get home till 7 o'clock. So if I'm multiplying the 60 by 3 days a week, that's €180. Plus the €80 on diesel, so that's €260 per week it's now costing me to go work for this company. So you multiply that by the 48 working weeks in the year, that's €12,480 that it's costing me. And it would actually be more than that. You can probably pop on an additional €200 because you've extra wear and tear in the car. I feel like that's, a decent figure to average it up. So €12,680, and they're paying me 18 grand. So 1612680. I'm now, there's a difference of €5,320, and that without a doubt that's gone on tax.
Yeah, 100%. And then throw in the emotional investment too. You're tired now. You're going to get to that 18 grand. And then you've got
Yeah.
no freedom, peace of mind. Now you're wound up, and then little Johnny's there, and you might get a little snippy with him. Then he gets upset. Then he gets upset with you back. And then you get upset because he's upset. And and it all
Yeah.
goes pear-shaped. And then no one's happy. Everyone's stressed. Everyone's pissed off. And then where do you go with that?
But it comes down to the quality of life. You need to look at the quality of life you have and say, okay, on paper, do you want to earn way more, but come out with way less, have a way shitter quality of life, be away from your child more? I think a lot more companies in the country, where they can accommodate people working from home and, being better, giving their employees a better quality of life. But I know from speaking with an old employer, I do know that their biggest fear is that they can't monitor the employees. You don't know, are they, nipping outside every hour for a cigarette or whichever. But what you'll find is, if I'm under pressure and I'm working in an office, I'm limited to my 9 to 5 because I have to, I have a child to get him, etc. You have to leave at a certain time. Whereas I'm here at home, I'm 9 to 5, but there's some nights I could still be logged in at 7 o'clock. On a Saturday, I'm not supposed to be working. I can hop on a Saturday and take some extra relief off rather than being completely under pressure in an office. And they've actually found that people working remotely become a lot more productive, and they will get a lot more done because they don't want to lose this great, benefit, because it is a benefit. Like, if I don't have my son for the weekend and 5 o'clock Friday comes, I know that if I need to go out or I want to go somewhere, I'm free from 5 o'clock. There's no having to wait to get home. If I need to jump in for a shower, do hair, makeup, etc., I'm already at home. So, you're way ahead of the game that way. And it is a huge benefit that employees don't want to lose. So they're not going to jeopardize it.
That's a good point. Yeah, you've given people an incentive, something that they want to hang on to. Now they're a bit scared now of losing the job even more. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
If you can look at it and say, okay, this person is not leaving their work from home job for an additional €20,000, that job really means everything to them.
Absolutely. And then the other side of remote working, right? I've spoken about this on numerous times. Actually, it's perfect timing that I wanted to bring this up in the conversation tonight. Anyway, speaking of remote, I've said numerous times we're swinging it back around to just dating now for a minute, right? And I feel, as many as there's great benefits to remote working, there's always a pro and con to everything. Now, I personally see what I'm seeing now, feedback from everybody, is that the people that are remote working, not everyone, a lot of them, their dating life is getting affected. Not even dating, even just going out meeting your buddies. You just get a little lazy at home. You're getting a bit too isolated, I've had those moments too, where like, okay, geez, I need to get out, Peter. Come on, Christ. If I'm working from home or my office or whatever the hell. But I see that now. And I think it's kind of like now the fact that before coronavirus, we've never been in a situation where dating has turned into a job almost at this stage,
Mhm.
because we're now sitting at home and getting off the couch to go to the cinema, meet one of your friends, or go on a date is actually like going to the bloody gym now, because we've got so isolated and lazy that we need to push that extra step. But people aren't looking at it like this. People are just saying, well, dating's dating. But no, people actually have to take it seriously and push 3 or 4 times, go on 3 or 4 different dates, whether it's 3 or 4 different people or whether it's 3 or 4 dates with the same person. Get your ass off the couch, because I think everybody wants to. And you're a single girl, you tell me, and you and your friends or people you know, I think everybody has the intention of going on a date, right? But then, and look, I've even felt this too. This, like, oh, do you know what? Now I was going to watch The Sopranos tonight. Now it's nice and cozy inside. I couldn't be arsed. And yet Peter hasn't been on a date for about 2 months, which is criminal to actually have that attitude. We should be getting up off our ass every opportunity we can. What do you see with
I
yourself or anybody else that you know in
disagree.
remote?
I
Okay,
disagree. I think,
go, go.
um, like, I think what's happened is a lot of people have kind of gotten almost like a social anxiety, that they don't know how to interact the same way they used to with meeting people because it was taken away for so long. And people go, oh yeah, I can go out and meet people, no problem. But when it kind of starts boiling down to it, a lot of people get very anxious about it. But what I found as well is because the whole fucking globe has spent so much time in their own company, they have learned to figure things out about themselves that they might not even realize that they've actually done. So we've gained an understanding and a comfort of things that make us happy and how we can be comfortable with ourselves, because we were forced to learn to do that. Most
Okay,
people couldn't be on their own. So you can start talking to somebody, and off the bat, the conversation is flowing, you're clicking, you've similar stuff, etc. And then there's a little thing that you're, a little bit unsure of that they've mentioned. And then you spot something else that, might not be completely compatible, but you're still kind of enjoying the chat. But then when it gets down to the hard numbers and they say, oh, hey, Peter, do you want to go for a coffee? Peter realizes, without even thinking about it, without even stopping to realize you're doing it, kind of subconsciously going, you know what, actually, it's not going to work with that person because there's things that I don't like. And, I'm not going to try change that person. They are who they are. So I'm either going to ghost, cancel, or make something up. And people actually just avoid going on the date because they become more aware of what they want for themselves.
Well, hold on, hold on. I mean, if that's the case, then why would you start talking to the person anyway? Then, do you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't it
Because you don't know anything about them. They're a stranger on a dating site. You like the look of them. Their bio sounds good, but the more you start getting to know them, the more you realize actually there's little things about this person that aren't compatible with me.
Well, you see, that's where I jump in and disagree. I would be saying that, well, hang on, lads. Look, there was a good maybe attraction at the start, but now you shouldn't judge the book by its cover. Messages, we can take the wrong end of the stick. And the amount of times I've seen this on the dating channel, so many people jump to the wrong conclusion on a text message, an email, a chat, whatever the hell. And somebody means something else and somebody just has a meltdown. Like, do you know what I mean? How can we judge by messages?
So there's different things, right? So you could be talking away to somebody, right? I could be talking away to somebody. And for example, if I was somebody that did not want to date a smoker and I'm talking away to this person and it doesn't come up in conversation about them being a smoker, and 3-4 days into the conversation, you ask, they're at work or something, and you say, oh, hey, what are you up to? How's your day going? And they're like, I'm so stressed, I'm just out having a cigarette.
Okay.
Deal breaker. There and then. But a lot of people
Okay. I'll
don't
give you that.
have.
Now that would be well, not an extreme, but okay, go on. Give me.
I'll give you another example. So I hate GAA with a passion, right? And I won't get into my personal views on it, but I just don't like GAA. So if somebody was a massive GAA fanatic, playing sports all the time, religiously going to training, never missing a match, had to go out for every game that was on the TV, or, had to stay at home on a Sunday to watch it, that person is out for me because they're not compatible. So I could be chatting away to the person, start talking on a Monday, you get to a Friday, and they ask, if you're free, or you get to a Thursday and they ask if you're free for the weekend, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll be around Saturday, and they're like, oh, I actually have a soccer game Saturday. So I'm like, oh, what way are you with sports? And then I find out they're a massive sports fanatic. So I'm now going, this person has just asked me out, so I would be blunt and direct.
Let's loop this back around. But wasn't that there before coronavirus? Like, we'd all have those clinchers, the smoking, the GAA player, the rugby player, the Formula One driver, whatever.
Yes and no. So the smoking, you would have been out and smoking. Like somebody that wouldn't really, date a smoker. Like if somebody doesn't like the smell of cigarettes, being away from it for a very long time will heighten it. So they could be out in a pub all of a sudden, people are smoking around them, it smells way worse. And again, a lot of people didn't fully know or find themselves. Like before COVID, I would have dated a GA person even though I hated everything about it. Because again, I hadn't found, I hadn't found me to know what I wanted and what made me comfortable.
And
and things that I was going to allow myself to look past prior were things that I decided I'm no longer going to do that.
So what have you learned about yourself? So with the remote dating, like, do you have specifics, or you do not want to get into them? Like, what do you mean exactly?
So, like, how do I describe it? So I actually mentioned it to you. I was talking to a guy a few days ago on a dating site. Seems really attractive. Well, not really, really attractive. But, I'd give him like, 8 out of 10. We were chatting, we were getting along, fairly well. He asked me if I wanted to do something at the weekend, and I happened to be free, so I said, sure, sounds good. I'm free on Saturday. So he said, that's cool. We'll make arrangements prior to the time. So on Friday, now to add in, this person had been texting me flat out like the previous days. Texting as much as they could throughout the day while they were going about their working day. Now the texts were slightly intermittent, but the person was at work, so that's understandable. Then Thursday evening came, the conversation just got a little bit more personal, about my life, his life, etc. And I mentioned a few things that were a bit personal to me. So on Thursday night, I fell asleep. I messaged again on Friday when I woke up, and there was only 3 messages, and then he was like, oh, enjoy your day at work. I'll give you a bell later. So if somebody says enjoy your day at work, they've no intention of talking to you throughout the day. So I immediately, thought, okay, obviously, the conversation last night might have, made him not want to pursue anything. So parked it there. Friday night came and went.
Sorry.
Heard nothing. Yeah.
Sorry. Hang on. I'm going to interrupt you before you continue. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't be. Okay, I'll put it this way. I wouldn't know any guy that wants to have nothing. Okay, I don't want anything to do with Amy. If I don't want anything to do with Amy, I'm not texting Amy. Like, do you know what I
No,
mean?
they
Unless
like
to say, listen, Amy, sorry, we're done. Goodbye. That's it. But you know,
yeah, no, a lot of people would be quite sheepish. You know, they just don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You know, they could think that somebody's in a slightly vulnerable place or going through enough, and they're just going to sort of fizzle it out.
yeah, but then they just wouldn't text you like normally people would do that.
But no, like as in he just responded back to the message I sent. There wasn't really much conversation happening on his. He was just responding to what I was saying. So it was like I've spoken to people before that have told me they've been going through a lot, and then I'm like, oh, I can't really just ghost this person because they're in a really shitty place, and I don't need to make that worse for them. You know, so I'm going to start slowing the conversation, make the replies longer, you know, and hope that in that time they'll find somebody else that will, you know, take their attention.
Okay.
So I assumed that's what this person was doing. Anyway, Friday night came and went, heard absolutely nothing. Saturday morning came and I got a message, not too early in the morning, asking me, saying, hey, hope you're having a good day. Just wondering if you're still on for meeting up later. I will be free around 5, finish work around 5. So I kind of looked at the message in like a bit of disbelief. I'm like, you can't basically ghost somebody for an entire day after saying you will give them a shout later on. Don't contact them and then expect them to still be around the next day. Now, before COVID, I would have jumped. Oh, he likes me. He's showing me attention. I'm totally going on that date. Now I'm like, no, you were disrespectful. You were ignorant. And that's just downright shitty behavior. You know, don't expect me to sit at home twiddling my thumbs, wondering if you're going to text the next day and mention about going on a date. So I kept it short and sweet. I just responded and said, no, I'm not. And I got a thumbs up and the conversation stopped there.
All
So,
over.
you know,
Job done.
I don't know what his reasons were, but again, it comes down to finding your own self-worth during COVID lockdown and learning to actually love yourself as a person and say like, no, I don't deserve somebody acting that way towards me. I deserve something better. And rather than just saying, I know I deserve that, there's a difference. There's so many people out there will say, I know what I deserve, but they're still accepting less. And because they're accepting less, it then allows lads to start behaving in a particular manner. Rather than if he did that, if this guy was texting 20 girls in the year and he'd done something like that to every single one of them, and every single one of them did exactly what I did, what's going to happen? He's going to stop that behavior. So like
Eventually.
it's
Yeah.
learned, exactly, it's learned behavior. So you have to get people to learn the proper behavior. Like you wind back into the 40s, 50s, 60s. I know times changed, but chivalry and respect towards women and respect towards men didn't have to change. There was nothing wrong with that behavior.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
And okay, so actually, let me just see my questions here. I've actually got them written down here as well. There was a couple I wanted to really bring up here now. The so with the dating, okay,
Mm-hmm.
what you see, like what are you seeing? If there's any ladies out there now, let's start with the ladies. Any of the ladies that want to go back on the dating apps, or they're going on for the first time, what's it like for them? What are you seeing with all the
Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Right? And like that goes from both sides. Like there's every single person out there has issues. Now, everyone has their own individual issues. Some are significantly worse than others, let me tell you.
Mhm.
But it's kind of like people in their early 20s are still just dating, they're having fun. People that are in their late 40s onwards, the majority percentage have been married, engaged in long-term relationships. It didn't work out, they've split. So in that category are the normals, is what we'll call them. And
Okay.
then in the kind of late 20s to early 40s are the issues. And I'm right in there as well, so it's fine. But it's sort of the ones that like almost got left behind, the forgotten ones, you know? Don't do group photos. If you're doing group photos, put an emoji over the heads of the other people, which is what a lot of men do. So you're showing, hey, I've got friends, I'm not a loner, but you're not seeing any of my friends in case you think they're better looking. You know, you're getting to know that person. Another downfall is you have guys out there that are short and they can't do anything about that. But don't put yourself in a situation that makes you look even smaller. So again, when you take Ben and John, like John might have been 6'5" and Ben might have been 6 foot, but you can't tell that. So you see somebody that you're going to automatically assume is just a regular height man. And now you have this little guy that looks about, 5'5" beside him. And it does a disservice. So you get like a lot of guys as well that are like, doing kissy faces with girls and stuff. And that can be a deterrent for a lot of girls as well. So, also, lads, for anyone listening, camera angle is so important. The amount of men's photos that like where they don't realize it because it's girls. Girls are the photos. So you'll have a guy, right? If you take a photo like that, you're getting good. Oh wait, you can't see it. If you're taking a photo like that, you're getting, good features, your nose, a bit of a jawline. If I take a photo with my phone down on my lap, I'm going to look like I have a double chin. Everyone is. If you lie back on your couch and you tuck your head down and you go to take a selfie, you look like a completely different person. But there's lads out there are uploading those photos. So it's like, no.
You know what? That's a good point. Even I don't care. Even if you're 12 years of age, you could still look like you've got a double chin. Doesn't matter what age you are.
Yeah. I mean, like I just see it all the time on the profiles that every man needs to approach a good female friend that they have and say, hey, can you check out my profile? And the worst thing that men do, and I sent you a screen recording of this, and you seemed very surprised, like actually down to the extent of it, is a message saying, hi, how are you? That is realistically, Peter, how many conversations had that in the screen recording that I sent you?
Actually, guys, it's no joke. I don't know. You must have sent me what, 7 or 8 photos? Or 7, 8 different profiles, and I would say out of the 7 or 8 who said hey or something,
Oh, Peter, there was over
5 or 6 of
40
them.
profiles.
I
There
think
was over 4. No, the last screen recording I sent you last night, there was over
Oh.
40 messages.
Oh, no, sorry. I was actually on about the photos you sent me, not the screen recording. Sorry. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, that was insane. And I'd say as well, actually, it's the same thing here. Like, for any of the ladies that are listening to this, like, it's good to have Amy's point of view for a man, if a man is listening, but for me now listening, and to the ladies, if I see women with multiple people in their photos, it drives me insane. I don't care if she's
Mm-hmm.
got 10 photos up. The chances are, if I don't like the first photo, I'm gone. I'm swiping left instantly because, like, oh, here we go. She's hiding now in plain sight in front of her friends. And what I'm thinking is she doesn't want me knowing which one she is. She's actually going to hide
Yeah.
for the rest of the photos. And I get sick to death of it. And I've moved on down the road. She'd have to be like insanely hot for me to go to the next. Maybe that's artificial, but you know what? This is happening a lot on dating profiles. And
Mm-hmm.
unless if she's insanely hot, or one of them is insanely hot, I might give the benefit of the doubt that, okay, well, maybe the hot one is the one. And hey, you know what? Maybe she's just in one of the photos. But if I don't see an insanely hot one, I'm gone. I'm gone.
Yeah. The it goes both ways, like, and I used to have in my bio that I don't respond to hey, how are you, or any variation. And I've gotten so many messages from people when I had that up saying, what else am I supposed to say? And like immediately off the bat, if somebody can't spark up a conversation with you other than saying, hey, how are you? You're already not compatible for me. And I know that. The advice I would give to any man out there is look at the girl's profile. Now, if she's just out partying in every single profile and you're just looking for a piss head, off you go. She is your Cinderella. But the majority of men, the majority of women, their profiles are going to have something personal to them. So you take me, for example, I've got motorbikes on my profile. Ask me something about motorbikes. Talk to me about something. Google it if you have to. Google 10 interesting facts about motorbikes and use fucking one of them. There is so many things you can do. Just do not ask a girl for a spin on the back. Do not look for a spin on the back of the bike. That's just like the most emasculine thing that you can do. I'm 5'1". I'm not putting a grown ass man on the back of my motorbike. Like, that is never happening. Unless I'm out with friends on their bikes and somebody breaks down. But even at that, I would probably scoot myself back and let whoever has broken down that needs a lift ride my motorbike.
And can I say that to the
Yeah.
ladies as well that are listening to the podcast, when they, like, if you want to keep the conversation going, you just hit something perfect. Just Google it. Go to
Yeah.
ChatGPT. Give me 10 funny, witty things to say to a man when I'm talking to him on Tinder for the very first time ever. Seriously,
Yeah.
literally, lads, ChatGPT or ask Google for 10 things you can say to a man or woman, and I'm telling you, you'll find something better than "Hey, how are you?" And I'd say I'll back you up on that one. I can't understand what it's like for a woman to, when some guy just goes, "Hey, how are you?" The usual crap. And like, it's the same for us in a way on Bumble, because obviously, maybe
The
some
girl
people,
has to message.
yeah, the girl's got a message first, but actually, what men find is the woman will just go, "Hey," and that's it, like one bloody word. And no, hand to God, hand to God. Most, I would say, 75-80% of women will just say, "Hey," one word, right? Because they want the guy to text back first. Well, that's what us men are thinking. We're thinking, oh, she obviously has to initiate the conversation
Yeah.
now. So do you know what now? She's just doing the lazy ass way, copy pasting "hey," and she's sending it to me. She sent it to obviously about 1,000 other guys because she wants him to make the first move again. And then us guys get pissed off.
Yeah. Like, the best thing to do on an opener, on any dating site, whether you're male or whether you're female, people love to talk about themselves. People love to be like, ooh, they want to know something about me. So, as I say, like with me, I've stuff on my profile that relates. Don't have a boring, bland profile. If you're a guy, do not put up a photo of just you in a bar or you on a couch. Do something, whether the photo is like 5 years old or something. Throw something in there that gives, the evidence that you do stuff with your life, and
Well,
it can be a
hold,
conversation starter.
sorry, hold on. Let's just go back a half a step here. For this one now, right? You're giving some pointers, okay? Let people,
Mm-hmm.
because you got a lot of likes and a lot of matches on Tinder at one stage there, didn't you? You got a lot. So you're doing something right here. So for the both men and women out here, what would you suggest the best ingredients they need to start up a dating profile? Or just
Okay,
fix
best
it up?
things. First photo, one of yourself, the best possible photo that you have. Your second photo, do it of you and somebody else, or you and a group. But again, emoji their heads out of it, because you don't want somebody to immediately go, oh, they've got more attractive friends. Because even though they might have been attracted to you on the first photo, they now have something right beside you to compare you against. And if I'm looking at two tops, I'm going to want the one that looks better, you know? Third photo, you can have it something funny, something to do with your personality. And then your last one needs to be a good closer. So I'll give you an example, right? You're swiping away on Tinder, right? You hit the first photo, you're like, oh, they look nice. If you hit the second photo and it's an absolute horrendous photo, you're immediately going, nope, gone, aren't you? You're not going to go anymore. You've seen one good, you've seen one horrendous, oh, I don't like the look of that person anymore.
I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So then you're like, oh, good photo, good photo. Oh, they're into this. That's cool. And then a good closer. You need to start and finish on a good note. So in your bio, put something funny, like put up a joke. Again, Google it if you have to. But if it's something that so many profiles have up, and off the top of my head, I can't think like what exactly they are, but there's so many profiles that have the same thing wrote. Also, do not put up an elevator selfie. The amount of men that pose in elevators is frightening. It just says, I'm stereotypical.
And
You're wanting to be
I'm
the one that stands out.
I'm jumping in here as well on this one on the back. Yeah, there's a lot of women out there. You spend a lot of
Elevator
elevator,
selfies.
and it pisses us off.
Yeah. So look, we're on the same page there. Then in terms of Torque Waterfall, people don't need to go to Tinder. They just need to go sit at Torque Waterfall for long enough, because every fucking man on Tinder has a profile photo or has a photo up from Torque Waterfall. Just
Really?
sit there with a little sign saying, I'm single. If you're here for your Tinder pics, take a star or pull a tab with my number or something. The same with that lake, something down in Waterford. I can't think of it off. You might be able to Google it there or something. There's a big lake where they're all up the top of the mountain looking down into like this big lake. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
Like Comera or something? Is it
Something like that, yeah. So
Where
that's
is?
also
Where did you say it is?
Waterford somewhere, I think.
Lake. Let me just
Um,
try and Google this as we're on the podcast here. Comish.
the one that's really weird to pronounce.
It's in Kilclooney, County Waterford. Is that it?
I think so. Is that a photo of like a big lake looking down it from like a valley around us?
Yeah, COUMSHINGAUN lock. Comishon.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So that is also the selfie hotspot for Tinder men. So avoid elevator selfies, avoid the Torque Waterfall selfies, and avoid the lake in Waterford selfies, because I've actually thought about, just actually screenshotting and then doing a really fast video, where you can't really make out anyone, but, it quickly flicking through all the photos of all the same men posing at the same. And I'm wondering, like, what do these men do passing each other? They're like, oh, great day for the Tinder photos up here. Are they the good weather? They're all heading up there. So, girls, get off the internet, go hang out at the lake for a while. I'm sure you'll find someone up there.
Jesus.
So what was the other thing? Oh yeah, like lads, I understand everyone is aging. We all are. I looked better when I was 16 than I do now. But I don't need to show people the better looking, much older or much younger photo of me. So I sent you a couple of screenshots of this particular topic as well, Peter, where somebody goes from looking really good to looking very aged and withered. And it's like, yeah, I've done tests on it before. They're not tests per se, but you know, just to kind of see. I've matched with profiles like that. Just ask them, hey, you know, how long ago was the particular better looking photo taken? Or yeah, I just say like, oh, the photo of you in the red top. Well, how long ago was that? And they'd say like, oh, 5 years ago. And then you're sat there going, so in 5 years, you've gone from looking like you're 25 to 55. In another 5 years, like, you will look like I have taken you from the morgue. So, no, I'll avoid that. Like, you want somebody to judge you based on what you are, not what you were.
Okay. Anything else?
So yeah, as I say, just like if you are like, a lot of men that are quite short will hide the fact that they're short on their profile because they know that not everyone will want to date them, you know, because a lot of women don't want to date. If a girl is 5'4", she's not going to want a guy that's 5'5" because she's going to tower over him in heels. You know, and again, some girls like short guys, but I think statistically, you know, the woman wants a man that can, you know, almost protect them, you know, be the masculine figure in the relationship.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you are short and then you start having a conversation with somebody and you've hidden your height, so the likes of Hinge and Bumble, I think those ones have the height included. So if you're hiding your height because you know it's going to bother people, and then it comes up in the conversation and you tell them your height, and they have the reaction that you were trying to hide, or you know, trying to hide, you know, on your profile, don't get mad at them. Because if you'd been upfront and, you know, just kind of pointed out straight off the bat, like, you know, yeah, I'm 5'5", I'm 5'4", the people out there that it's not going to matter to will be the ones that will, you know, still swipe. But like, you know, if a girl is, you know, 6 foot, she's not going to want a guy who's 5'4". Now again, there's people out there that might, but you know, realistically speaking, so if that guy hides his height and it comes up, it's going to give him direct dismissal, where he has now ended up being rejected, is the word I was looking for.
If there's a girl out there and you're on dating apps, and if as long as the guy's over 26, 27, I'd be surprised if any guy gives a damn if you've got a baby or if you're out of a job. You know, even the baby one, like even at 26,
Yeah.
27 these days, you know, at that age, yeah, men just start to, oh, who cares, man? Who cares? So.
Yeah, no, I feel like it should be. But I was also going to talk about the little hack that I found on Tinder once upon a time.
Yeah, I'm just conscious about your time now. I know you said you're an hour. How long do you've left?
I've about 10 minutes, I'd say.
Okay, go ahead. So tell us about this hack. You got over 1,000 likes, was it? Or
10,000.
10,000, excuse me. Okay, and you got all this on Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
what was your secret sauce, Amy?
so you don't need to pay for Tinder Gold to find out who has swiped right on you or not. Now, this is a lot more difficult to do in a town or in a city because there's obviously a lot more people in your vicinity that are on the dating site. But for the likes of me, I'm rural, so there's not a lot of people nearby. So firstly, to boost your profile, what you need to do, you need to start making yourself seem really fucking popular. Like that there is so many profiles suddenly want you. Because what will start happening is Tinder will start boosting your profile then to show you to more people, because Tinder's algorithm thinks that you're really attractive and that the men on the site will want to see you. The more good looking men that the more good looking women that men see, the more they are inclined to buy Tinder Gold, because they'll want to find out who the people are that have swiped right on them. Is it any of these really good looking women that they're missing out on?
Okay, just bear with me one sec. I think we're going a little half step too far. So to get to that point of Tinder knowing that Tinder's algorithm knows that, oh, Peter's popular here, how do
Yeah.
you get to
So
the
what you
stage
have
of
to
being
do,
popular?
you have to whack your um whack your distance up as far as it goes. You then have to
As in
put your age bracket
full length, as in 150 miles, whatever it is. As
full
far out as
full
you can
hog.
go.
Full hog. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So then you lower your age limit to 18, I think is the lowest on it, and whatever the maximum, if it's 100 or 90 or whatever, put the two of them out as far as they go on either ends of the scale. So you are now visible to all of those people. So whereas you might have had a marginal market from the ages of, 30 to 35 within 20 miles, you are now getting shown to everybody that's within your category. That also, so like if a 40-year-old man, or if a 50-year-old man has his Tinder thing set to a 20-year-old woman to a 40-year-old woman, okay, and a 20-year-old woman that doesn't have it shown to 50 isn't going to show up for this guy because she's not going to date him.
Mm-hmm.
So you increase yours, that suddenly you'll start showing up to like all these men out there that, well, for me, the men out there that are looking for a younger woman, that are happy to commute. And if you can, over the couple of days that you're doing that, move around the country. So take a spin down to Kerry. I did it when I was cruising around on my bike over the summer. That's how mine went as big as it did. I was down in Kerry one day, I was down in West Cork another day, I was up in Tipperary, up in Limerick, up in Portlaoise, down in Waterford, down in Wexford. So suddenly I'm going 200-300 kilometers, whatever it is, radius from all of these locations. So I'm
And,
now
and
nearly,
and as you're going around these places, you still have the age gap opened up to the max.
you
You
have
have
it
location up
opened
to
up
the
to the max.
max. Everything.
Yeah.
All right.
So also make sure you do pull out your Tinder in each location and do a couple of swipe lefts and right, just so that the location does actually update you in the app, because sometimes if you're closed out of it, it might not be running in the background. So you then come home and you're going, 2 weeks later after doing your little bits of touring around the country, you're like, okay, suddenly I am no longer wanting to date anyone that's that distance away. So you reduce your distance to 1 kilometer, to 1 mile, whatever it is, the lowest. You then put your category to 34 to 34, or 35, 35, whatever one you want. Every single person.
Is this? Hang on. Let's just make sure everybody's up to speed. This is on purpose, as in you're only putting it to 1 year.
Yeah.
So as in
1 year.
So if any 20-year-olds, somebody 25 to 25, if you're 34 to 34, 48 to 48, 52 to 52.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So then you start swiping. Do not swipe quickly. You need to kind of do it slowly, because the faster you do it, the more you have to kind of play around with the settings. But I'll also include that, what to do there. So everyone that starts showing up that's outside your preferences. So now I will actually point out it's not completely accurate. So if somebody shows up that's like 4 miles away, they may or may not have liked you because it's very close to the one. But if you have somebody that comes up and you've your thing set to 35, they're 33 and they're 20 kilometers away, that person has swiped right on you. And Tinder is forcing them through to you because they don't have enough results in your area. So this is why I'm saying this works way better when you're outside the major cities, because obviously there is going to be a lot of 35-year-olds within a 1 mile radius. Now, some of them may have liked you, but I'll give you another prime example of how you can see this working. If you go on holidays, if you're in a foreign country, so like I went to New York and I was having an old nose on Tinder about 6-7 years ago when I was there. And when I came back to Ireland, because this is how I started noticing what it was doing. When I came back here and I was swiping through Tinder, suddenly I'm realizing, why is there profiles in America showing up in my likes? I'm back in Ireland. My distance is set to 50 kilometers. But these were all people that actually had liked me while I was there in New York that are now showing up because I have my search results down so minimal. I'm running out of matches in that. So Tinder will start force feeding people that have liked you through to you.
Okay.
Now, if it says no more matches available in your area, that does not mean, so as I say, if you start swiping fast and suddenly it says there's no more matches available in your area, that does not mean that you've nobody else on Tinder that has liked you. So all you have to do there, hop back onto your settings, jig it up to about 3 kilometers and just change the age from 34 to 34 to maybe 34 to 36. You're just kind of giving it almost like a reboot, a reset. And then again, anyone that shows up that's majorly, not majorly, but as I say, if they're kind of 2-3 kilometers outside your search distance, they can still just be ones that are Tinder's kind of filtering through to you that haven't liked you. But the ones that are significantly away from you, that are outside your search criteria, are ones that have liked you.
Okay. Is there any more? Sounds like a lot of work.
It's really quite simple. Once you start doing it and you see how it works, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I completely understand this. And it's very, very easy. At times I get so tired of like guess swiping that I'm like, I'll just do my cheese. But then it gets really annoying because you do start getting the pop-up. It's a match, and then you're having to hit the X. It's a match, having to hit the X. And it's like, can you not just give a quick pop-up like, it's a match, and disappear again? As in like the little pop-up to say it's a match. Like, stop making me work to get through these.
Well, I think some people are going to try this. Definitely. Why not?
Yeah, as I say, it works a charm. But I think that's about it for my Tinder experience.
Jeez, well, happy hunting, everybody, and eachbody tries that. And how long did it take for you to see the results come up? Because obviously you have to travel within a few weeks, did you? So it took a couple of weeks to get matches coming up.
That was, do you know what? And the reason I did that, do you remember I told you, Peter, I'd over 10,000 people like me on Tinder before, and you called me out on your TikTok and you said, Amy, you're lying. There's no way somebody can have that amount of people.
I did, everybody.
Stop talking shit.
I did.
Yeah. And I said, Peter, tell me this, how quickly I was updating you as I said, do you know what, Peter? I'm deleting my profile. Here's a new profile. I'm going to show you how quickly I can have 10,000 people show up in the people that have liked me. So I paid for Tinder Gold, and you do get one free boost, but I had showed you that I didn't use the boost. And I was traveling around, had the thing spread out, and I was sending you screenshots. What was it? 5 days for the 10,000 likes to come in, something like that. It was under a week anyway.
I don't remember the duration, but yeah, you did show me. In fairness, she did stick it up my ass, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming on. A pleasure. Seriously, appreciate it. And it's been over an hour and 25. Like, so hopefully there's a bit of useful information there for people. You know, looking at it from both sides, men and women, for the dating world. And your trick here, whatever you call it, the trick for Tinder. Jesus, if we can get
Tinder
people
hack.
rocking and rolling with 10,000. Even 1,000 matches would be, or likes would be unreal for people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening. And cheers, Amy.
Adios.
We'll talk later. And you can stay on here online, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. Will do.
Peter.